Hey everyone, Saturday in the saw shop. Had a really good week, busy at work. I bought a couple more saws to play with. I'll show you guys those as I get time. I bought a bunch of saw parts, three, big boxes, and mostly Husqvarna and some still parts, recoils, chain brakes, side covers or top covers. Some carbs, a lot of fasteners, so that was awesome. That stuff's solid gold. I saw the ad and I saw a 288 chain brake laying on the top. Well, my buddy's been looking for an OEM original 270 or 288 chain brake for that saw that I ported. Actually, we'll get that running on video. I threw it back together and sent it back to him. And he's been breaking it in, so apparently it runs good. I'll try and get him to send me a video. Anyhow, so I'll show you guys those parts as I get time. Been super busy. Lots of saws being worked on. Okay, I'm gonna label this: if you port saws or run saws, they're gonna fail sometimes. Saws blow up, guys. Some of them blow up in 20 years, some of them blow up in 20 minutes. We like to think we can stop the 20-minute failures, and often we can, but I had a saw fail this week, so I'm not sure what happened. I'm going to post a video right here. I'm going to cut it. This is 2 weeks ago, me running the saw. You can see it ran perfect. Okay, 630, 266 Jonsered. So I'm going to cut right here. Okay, as you can see in that video, good running saw. I built that saw in winter. I've been running it here and there. Doesn't have a ton of time on it, but it's been a good saw. I didn't run it much at the beginning. That saw was plagued with air leaks and carburetor issues. I got those all solved, months ago, and been running it. And as you can see in that video, it runs good. Machine work done to this cylinder, pop-up. 20 thou squish with a 40 thou pop-up. I turned the numbers up fairly aggressive. Not race saw, but, fairly warm. And the saw's been fine. Now I'm going to cut to another video. This is this week. 2 weeks ago when I shot the original video, the saw, it wouldn't restart. And then when it did, it was kind of boggy and running funny. So I threw it in the truck. I had work to do. And figured maybe it needs a carb kit or something. So I had to go back through my notes and see what I actually did to that saw. And so this next video is me testing it. I fired it up, warmed it up. It started 3 pulls and sat there and idled. A little bit of tuning, but the weather here has been so up and down. And when I ran it the other day, it was like 110 degrees. So tuned it, let it warm up. Everything was fine. This is me putting it in the wood. You can hear it struggling, like slower than a stock saw struggling. I did 2 cuts and that was it, guys. I knew something was wrong, and here you can see the video. Okay, so you can see in that video, the saw's struggling. I'm going to tear the top end off this saw and have a look. There's the top of the piston. Now let's see if you can hear this. Do you hear that? Okay, so the saw number one is laboring. Number two, it won't hold a tune. It's doing all kinds of weird things, which tells me it's getting warm, right? Remember, heat kills saws. This feels fine. Check it for up and down movement. Hard to do with one hand. Now, I can feel a slight movement up and down on this thing. And when this saw was warm, I could feel more of a movement. So, my original thought was I blew a bearing, okay? Remember I showed you guys on that 461? Spin it around and see if you can move it. I can hear something, okay? I don't feel any movement. I pulled the oil pump off thinking I had a PTO side bearing failure. I did not do bearings in this saw. This saw has SKF, good quality SKF roller bearings. You can see how clean they are. I didn't do bearings in the saw. I did a crank inspection. This crank seemed okay. Now remember guys, this saw, I'm not sure the Jonsered, I think this is an 89. This saw is old guys, okay? Not a ton of time on it, but she's been used, okay? When you're porting old saws like this, you're going to get some failures and you have to be able to tolerate that. At first I thought it did my porting make it fail. I don't know, maybe. I don't think so. I know my timing numbers enough now that I didn't go too warm. So the compression's not crazy high on this saw. It's probably about 190, 195. You know. It's under 200. Is this saw warm? Yep. I built it that way. Remember guys, I'm showing you guys what you can do and showing you the results. Okay? Some of you want a warmer saw. Some of you just want a hopped up saw. This is a warm saw. Do I think my porting blew it up? No. I think that crank's old and blew up. Now, I have 2 spare cranks. I have a carcass that's just ripped apart, a 630 carcass. I'm going to pull that one down and check that crank. If it's good, I'm going to throw it in here. I've never had a crank failure in one of these. Now, if you look, I think the bearing came apart. I don't know. There's some scratches on this piston that were not there before. I think some bearing material. I'll turn that. There you go. Let's see if we can focus on that. See those? I think some bearing material came apart. This piston did not look like this last time I looked at it. Okay. Cylinder looks good. She's breaking in. Okay. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to take intake off. We'll crack the top end. You guys saw me build this on video, so I don't need to bore you with the details. I'm going to pause you here. We're going to take this top end off and see if the crank let go. It is what it is, guys. You're going to work on old saws. You're going to have some failures. You're going to have failures with new saws. That 461, that saw's 3 years old, completely blown up. My 576 was blown up. That saw's 6 or 7 years old. My 562 was 3 years old when I got it, completely blown up. So, I'm an honest guy, and I'm going to show you guys the things I find, and because you guys are going to have the same problems I am, so I'm going to show you the problems, and we'll work through them together. I'm going to pause you here, and I'm going to take this top end off, or I'm going to get it ready to take off. Okay, fuel line, air filter, mount, screw, dump the fuel, throttle linkage, and choke. Okay, she's ready to have the top end pulled off. Another reason why I love working on these saws. Another build with no base gasket. The screws are out. Okay, this thing's stuck. Again. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. There you go. I heard her crack there. Okay, let's give her another whack. Okay, I'm gonna have to put you guys in the mount. Okay. There we go. Okay. What failed on this saw, guys? Cylinder looks good. Sorry, I'll keep chatting as I find things. Cylinder looks good. I don't see any damage. Interesting. So funny story here, guys. I'm not seeing anything right now. Let's pull this piston off and we'll keep going. Again, I heard a noise. The bearings didn't sound good or healthy. You could hear that howl. Well, that's what the saw sounded like when I shut it off. So, wow, that was a beautiful circlip catch. If this thing didn't blow up, guys, I'm good with that. I definitely think I'm going to split this thing though and put bearings in it. I'm not happy. Let's have a look at this. Oh, wrist pin bearing seems okay. Interesting. Well, the crank did not let go. Interesting, guys. So I haven't decided yet. I think I might change this crank just out of a hunch. I can almost see wear on the race. It's really, really shiny on one spot, or gray. Bearings look a little bit gritty. I think this bottom end, now I felt up and down movement the other day when I took this thing apart on the bearings. See, the crankshaft moves side to side. Yeah, I think the big end rod on this thing is starting to go. I can feel, you want to put it in the middle, I can feel a slight bit of up and down movement. So I probably caught this just in time. Still spins freely. Yeah, I can definitely hear something there. So yeah, I think this, I think the big end bearing is starting to fail. That's good though, guys. That means I didn't grenade this. And you can see, let's see if you can see that. Okay. There's definitely, this thing's been eating some fines by the looks of it. There you go. See these marks here? Now, you'll get some fine marks on a ported saw as it breaks in. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's have a look at the air horn. Let's see if it's full of fines. A little bit, not too bad. Interesting. And again, top of the piston here. I can see some marks, like some debris. It's what I think happened, guys, is I think the big end rod bearing is starting to let go, and I think some shavings came off of it and went through the saw. This saw does not run right now. It's boggy. So probably when this thing heats up, this rod is starting to get loose. And you can hear that clackety-clack sound when you turn it over. You can't hear it without the piston in. Yeah, I don't like this crank, guys. It feels... I think I can feel just the slightest bit of up and down movement, which will be enough because when it gets hot, everything's going to get looser. So I guess what we'll do, we will rebuild this carb, and we're going to have to split this. When I'm going to do that, I'm not sure. Probably sooner than later. We'll split this saw and do a bottom end on it. We never did a bottom end on this saw when we built it, so. Another thing I want to show you. Look how thin that stuff goes on. It's almost not there. Okay, you don't want too much. Thin was my experience. You get 2 to 3 thousandths, just like Harvey said, the iron horse. He always says that. I've measured the squish. I agree with him on that. 2 to 3 thousandths you'll get. So, of thickness, which is, you know, nothing. So yeah, I'm not sure. Something's going on with this saw. Like I said, I couldn't tune it. It seemed fat, and then it seemed lean, and then it's not pulling itself through the wood, which tells me right there that I have an issue and it's time to shut it down. If you keep going, I bet you if I kept going, this crank would have let go, and then this saw would be good for the garbage. You hear that? I don't like the way this sounds, guys, so whatever, we'll split it and we'll put a new crankshaft in this. This crank doesn't look like it got hot or anything, but remember, this thing, I literally was just doing test cuts. Let's put this wrist pin through here too. Maybe it's a wrist pin. I was doing test cuts with this, and I only made 2 cuts, so I didn't even run it enough. Oh, this wrist pin actually has a little bit of something. Wrist pin didn't look like it got hot. So there we go. Yeah. Again, I'm honest, guys. I felt something. The saws are super boggy. The saw's super boggy, and it had no power to the point where it wouldn't even pull itself through the log. I've been having a lot of trouble starting this saw the last few days, so I knew something was up, and I could hear a noise like something was coming apart, and you could hear that click, 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 click. What that is, I don't know, but I don't like it, so I'm just gonna split this saw and carry on with life. I don't call this a failed build. I call this an old build. Here, we'll flip you here. Remember, guys, even when you're building stock old saws, this stuff's old. You don't know what's been done to it. You don't know how many times it's been heated. Just remember that. Just because one of your saws fails doesn't mean you're a failed builder or you should stop doing saws. It just means that saws fail, okay? They do. Anybody I know that builds saws will tell you that. You're going to get a few that fail. Sometimes you're going to have stupid things, plating come off. You're going to have a piston that was, you know, porous or something, you know. A piston that breaks a chip off. Sometimes you're going to catch a ring. Sometimes a bearing's going to blow apart. I mean, there's so many ways for these things to fail. Sometimes you're going to have a crankshaft that's starting to go loose. I'm not even sure, guys. To tell you the truth, okay, I think I feel slight movement in this. So just based on that, I'm going to change it. I have two more and move on. So I would rather be like, there's nothing wrong with this saw, which I highly doubt. I bet you when I pull off one of these bearings, it's going to be gritty or something. But it felt like something was piling up in this saw. It felt like I had a 42-inch chain buried on it, and I was sticking my knee into the power head. Like this thing had no power in that second video I posted. So, or that second video that's in this one. So, there you go, guys. The more you know, the less you know. I'm not sure, but I feel something. This saw is not running right. It's running labored. And this thing runs like a ported saw should. So, I'm going to say this crankshaft is on its way out. And move on from there. Anyhow, as always, thanks for watching. You're on here. As always, thanks for watching. Take her easy. Appreciate all you that come here.